Verse 11, truly, truly I say to you, we speak of what we know and bear witness to what we have seen, but you do not receive our testimony. So just saying, we speak of things we know, right? We bear witness to what we have seen. You don't receive our testimony. This is well harkening back to John chapter 1, okay? You teaching this, you able to, right? So there's no excuse for you not being able to understand this. There's no excuse, right? You can't say, oh, but I didn't know, right? This is not Gnosticism. I didn't know, and therefore so it's hidden knowledge. It's like saying, oh, there was this hidden knowledge concerning the new birth, right? And now I'm opening it up. No, that is anti-Gnosticism. So those ones say John is like a Gnostic book. I mean, the Gnostics didn't understand the book correctly. It's not about that. It's not Gnosticism. It's the opposite of, the contradiction to. Okay, you're teaching the Old Testament. You ought to know, right? It's not hidden. It's a fact. Like I speak of what we know, not of hidden knowledge. What we know, what we hear witness, what we have seen. It's not hidden. It's not Gnosticism. It's not. Okay? What's the problem? You did not receive our testimony. Why didn't you receive our testimony? Not because it's hidden, not because it's impossible to understand. It's because you don't want to understand it. Right? You don't want to see it. That's the problem. That and that alone is ultimately the problem. Okay, so again, back to John chapter 1. So that's a problem for all humanity. It's not a question of you don't know, right? It's not hidden knowledge, right? Nature is not hidden. Even from blind people, they can smell, right? It's not hidden. A blind person now sitting can feel the wind. It's not hidden. It's not hidden. The reason why you don't want to know it, the reason why atheists don't want to believe it is because they don't want to accept what is everywhere around them. Why? Sin is going to come later in the book. I mean, not in the book, sorry, in this chapter. Jesus is going to address it. Because of sin. You're a slave to sin. You don't want to accept it. It's not hidden. God is not hiding himself. So stop saying if Jesus appears before you, you'll believe in him. He's not hiding himself. He's not playing hide and seek. You are the one hiding. Adam and Eve, they were hiding. Okay, verse 12. If I've told you earthly things you do not believe, how can you believe I tell you heavenly things? It's like Jesus getting at here. Like, okay, I'm speaking of earthly things here. Right? I'm not speaking of human things. I'm not speaking of this the calculus kind of mathematics, right? You are 10 years old, you can only understand 2 plus 2, and I'm speaking of calculus here, which you will only maybe study when you're like 18 or maybe university, depends on which country you are, right? That's not what I'm speaking about. I mean, if I speak about those things, yes, you know, you can understand, you can't maybe understand. But I'm speaking of something different here. I'm speaking of earthly things here, right? If you can't even understand earthly things, how can you understand heavenly things? So what's the point of me trying to explain things from heaven and how life and everything is up there if you don't understand even that this is a flower, right? That this is a pink flower. If I say this is a pink flower, you say, no, it's red, right? Or blue, or whatever color. This is basically what is happening. It's clear in front of Nicodemus' eyes. This is pink, plain, simple, except you're colorblind, right? Like, because, no, colorblind, like being dead in sin, slave to sin kind of idea, right? So to draw the connection. I mean, colorblind is not, shows you colorblind, you're more evil or anything like that. It's just, it's like you see the thing, but you don't want to see the thing because of something that's inherently wrong in yourself. So, again, this is not new, this is not different, this is not weird knowledge, this is just plain, simple, earthly knowledge. Like I've mentioned before, so many times. I mean, it's earthly. I look around myself and I see these beautiful mountains. It's beautiful, right? It's so beautiful. But you don't see it. But you don't see the beauty of God. Why? Because you love your sin. Be honest and admit it. Stop lying. Stop calling God the one that plays hide and seek. How more clearly can he show us? Like how more clearer could God have told Nicodemus this? Jesus said this. Whole Old Testament speaking about this. Can't understand. Verse 13. No one has ascended into heaven except he who descended from heaven, the Son of Man. right? So yes, no one ascended, only he who descended. So no one went up there, only the one who came down from there. Okay, now, yes, Elijah went up there, okay, but he didn't come back. Jesus is his exception. Why is he saying these things here? Because he just said, I can't speak about heavenly things, because I came from there. Okay, that's my home. I can speak about those things. I can teach you all these kinds of higher knowledge, right? But you can't even understand earthly knowledge. What's the point of that? Okay? So that is what Jesus is getting at. Not just his roots, but the fact that, as well, following from the previous, is about that he can, because he came from there. But there's no point in it. Nicodemus, you came maybe here to ask for heavenly knowledge, but there's this earthly knowledge, you don't even understand that. Verse 14. And as Moses lifted up the servant in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whoever believes in him may have eternal life. Okay, so verse 14, 15 is kind of stated, verse 16, just in a little bit different way. It's stated twice. Again, we understand things stated twice very important, so this is a very important concept. The concept of used an example of Moses lifting up the serpent in the garden, in the desert. And we know the story, again, an allusion to the Pentateuch, when the Israelites in the desert were bitten by the snake. They made this bronze snake, and later on they started worshipping the snake. And how we contain everything of that God gives us salvation into something we worship. Okay, what's new? Anyhow, so when they were bitten by the snake, they had to look at the snake. So this is now the sign. Okay, so for you to be saved, you need to look at the snake. You need to look at the serpent being lifted up. That is a sign, not the miracles. The miracles, forget about it. They're just to prove who I am. The true sign is going to be ultimately me being lifted up, the death on the cross. That is going to be the ultimate truth, right? So yes, we know it's not just the faith in the death and the cross that's saving you. It's a faith in everything, because Jesus does. If he didn't live a holy life, then a sinless life, then there's no salvation as well, because then you will always live a sinless life. Okay, and he would not have risen from the dead. So that's his important part. His ultimate is atonement on the cross, right? And then ultimately his death. If he didn't raise from the dead, then there's as well. So you die, you believe, and then you die, and that's that kind of idea. So all of it is important. But here that's not the focus. The focus, because it's not addressing that whole question, right? Jesus is not addressing all the things at the same time, all the time. So he's just saying, so like the cross, right? That is Moses lifting up. So the Son of Man must be lifted up. Okay, so telling this to Nicodemus, who would not have understood it at that moment, but now telling this to Nicodemus, and then ultimately through Nicodemus to the other religious leaders, right? You ought to understand the earthly things. And the lifting up of the Son, this is a sign. That is the ultimate sign. Yes, it's because of you, but that was a sign. So are you going to believe in that sign? Right, here is the ultimate sign. Are you going to believe in that sign? And yeah, those who believe ultimately in him will have eternal life. Not everyone. Okay, we'll get back to that in the next verse as well. Not everyone will believe in him. So not everyone will be saved. Not universalism, with everyone going to heaven, or the new heaven, new earth, right? But only those who believe. And ultimately, who believes? Born of the Spirit. Okay, we'll get back to that as well. That is, but yes, to 14, 15, we'll get back now then from a different place here in the garden in verse 16 and speak a little bit more about that. And why verse 16 is therefore so misunderstood and misquoted by so many people.